Welcome to the Author Friendly Podcast. This is your host, Carla King, talking with the people behind the products, tools, and services you use to self-publish successfully. In this program, I vet who I talk to. Really, I only want to present to you people and tools and companies that I recommend. And I'm open to your suggestions. So let me know if we're missing somebody and I'll invite them on. The podcast was inspired by my Consumer's Guide for Self-Publishers, which is a free download from my selfpubbootcamp.com website. And I also want to let you know that I have created some online courses for you, which you can find at selfpubbootcampcourses.com. This week, I'm speaking with Robin Cutler, who is with IngramSpark. IngramSpark features heavily in my Self-Pub Bootcamp courses as a great place to distribute your books. They have very, very wide distribution. And I also send people to their tools a lot. And that's what we talk about in the first half of this podcast episode. It went on pretty long, so I split it into two parts. In this first part, you're going to hear about its evolution from Lightning Source to IngramSpark, the easier to use professional publishing tool. We'll learn how it works, and you can follow along on IngramSpark.com, learn how to set up a free account, and learn all about those free resources for cover design to find out what trim sizes are standard, how much you're going to make from your book, and things like, spine width calculators and all of that. We talk about choosing paper color and weight and printing color books and what spot color is, what price breaks are for the larger quantities of books, and deciding whether you want to pay as you go or hold some inventory. Robin says that it's always great to have books in your trunk at all times, so you're always ready to sell your books. In this episode, we also talk about hardback books, when to use case laminate or a jacket for your book. We discuss setup fees and charges, talk about metadata, and they don't have a fee for changing metadata. So we talk a lot about what it is and, why IngramSpark doesn't want to discourage you by charging you for changing your metadata. So that's it for the first part of the podcast. The second part really goes more into distribution, and that'll come out a week from now. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Robin Cutler of IngramSpark. Hey, Robin. Welcome to the Author Friendly Podcast.
Hi, Carla. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Me too. Over the years, we've talked a lot, but it's been a while. So I'm really interested in learning what's happening at IngramSpark right now. But I want to preface this by saying, why don't we just go over how IngramSpark evolved? And I'll just start with a little background because I used to use Lightning Source, right? Mm-hmm. And when I started self-publishing, there were no other tools. There were no Amazon tools. There wasn't a Kobo tool. There wasn't anything. And I've really appreciated IngramSpark because it does have some of that sophistication of the LSI tool, the Lightning Source tool for publishers, which intimidates a lot of authors, but there doesn't seem to be anything quick and dirty about it. It really is a professional tool. So that's what I wanted to say. And I'd like you to take it from there and talk about the evolution and the features that maybe have come from that professional tool.
Well, yeah, that's right, Carla. And, you've been there almost from the very beginning because I remember when we first launched IngramSpark, which was in July of 2013, and, people were finding the platform. We were, doing some marketing around it, and it was starting a little bit of buzz around it. But you were the first one that kind of gave it a big kick, and that was through a blog, I think, that you were doing for PBS, and that actually just sent it into the stratosphere. It really did. So I really have to thank you for that.
I forgot about that. That was fun discovering it. And because it's true, there was nothing like it and everybody just embraced it right away.
Yeah. So basically, as you were talking about, Lightning Source, which is Ingram's print-on-demand company that now believe it or not, is 20 years old. Basically, we took that print-on-demand technology that had always been there. We also had ebook distribution through another part of Ingram's company called CoreSource. And we married those two things together and then created a little bit, what I would say, easier to use interface for an author, where it was just not quite so intimidating as Lightning Source had always been. And that's basically what IngramSpark is even today.
Yeah, so IngramSpark is a really robust tool, and I just wanted you to go over maybe how it actually works. When somebody goes to ingramspark.com, what would the first thing they do be? Would it be going to the resources or the pricing? What happens there?
Someone can go in today, they can set up a free account. It's fairly painless and easy. So you can go on the site, but there are a lot of educational tools, especially if you're new to publishing. We have an IngramSpark Academy. We have a blog that you can subscribe to. And, we also have this little quiz that you can take when you first come in there, and then it will kind of let you know what level of publisher you are. If you're an indie author just getting started, or if you're like a seasoned professional. And then once we identify you as the type of publisher you are, we actually will send you emails that can help you along your journey. So I always encourage people to do that. But today you can go in, and I encourage you just to go ahead and set up an account, even if you haven't finished writing your first book, because of all the information that's there.
Yeah, and I keep sending people to the resources tab. I think I send more people to the resources tab than it doesn't matter where they were published, just to get book cover design templates and the spine width calculator, and just to check pricing for the different trim sizes and page counts.
Yeah, and that's really great that you do that, Carla. And it shows that you really know where to go on our site too, and that you're educating the authors that are working with Author Friendly, which is really fantastic, and we love that. But yeah, on the resources tab, when you first go to the site, you can see that we have a couple of different calculator tools. You can put in pricing of what you would price your book at. You can put in trim size, how many pages. It'll show you what the POD print cost is. It'll also show you about, if you want to make your book available through Ingram's distribution channel, you can put in a discount that you would offer retailers, and then it will show you what you would actually earn.
Mm-hmm. That's the publisher compensation calculator, right? That's really valuable because people always want to know, how much am I going to make per book? And well, that depends on how you're distributing it and whose company you're using. So this is IngramSpark specific. And I like to just go and, I have this fictional 200-page paperback book that's 6x9, and I just punch the specs into everybody's calculator and see how much it's going to cost. But I do want to back up and go over trim sizes. Now, this is a thing. When people think about publishing their paperback or hardback, a lot of people have children's books, and they come in various sizes. Trade paperback 6x9 or 5.5 by 8.5. Children's books can be 5x8 or 5x5 or 8x8, depending on what age group it is. I think IngramSpark has the most trim sizes available of all of the print distributors. Is that right?
I would say that we're kind of on the forefront. And when I say we, I kind of mean Lightning Source and IngramSpark in the print-on-demand space, in terms of technologies, but also in terms of what we offer. So, for instance, we have a lot of different trim sizes there. One of the advices that I usually give to authors, and especially if you're working with a book designer, make sure you go standard in your trim sizes. It will save you a lot of money. Designers sometimes will like to do something kind of quirky and what they think is unusual, but unusual and quirky in the book world usually translates to just more cost, right?
Very expensive. Custom
Yes.
book sizes is not what you want to hear.
No, no. So when you go to the IngramSpark site, you'll find our trim sizes that are listed there. You want to go standard. Anything that's listed there is a standard trim size. In the last couple of years, we've added a lot of different sizes, especially for the children's book market. So we have this really cool, like 8.5 by 8.5 kind of square size that's smaller than an 8.5 by 11, but it's really great for a child's hands to actually hold the book because it's smaller. And when you open it up, it's kind of a landscape in terms of, going across 2 pages. So,
Oh, right. So an illustration can span both of the pages with a full bleed.
yes, exactly. So I really love, and there's another one that's a little bit larger that I think is 10 by 10, 10.5 by 10.5, maybe is what it is. We recently, last year, actually did a landscape size that is 11 by 8.5. So we're always adding new trim sizes. So you should always check back with us.
Oh, yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing, 8.25 by 10 3/4. And yeah. And then when I'm just actually playing with the cover template generator right now while we're talking, because, it's showing me all the trim sizes and it's giving me a choice of the interior color and paper. So you have a choice between white and cream. Now, when would you want to use white and when would you want to use cream?
So, for any color or any kind of dense, maybe even black and white illustration, I think that always looks better on white paper. It always just translates and prints better. For fiction, I always prefer the cream paper. It's just easier on the eyes to read, a bunch of text. So I always say go, and it's what the major publishers do as well. Most works of fiction are done and printed on cream paper. Nonfiction is usually done on white. So that's just one way to differentiate the, 2 kinds of.
Right. Because people, flip back and forth, like my self-publishing boot camp guide for authors is in white. It's a big book, but it's on white paper and it just pops. The headings pop out more. So when you're flipping through, you can find what you want. And then you also have some great color choices. A lot of my authors say that they want to print some color in their book, and Amazon and some of the others only offer 50-pound paper, which kind of bleeds through. So can you talk about your color choices?
We, a few years ago, instituted another level of color that we call standard color. We also have premium color that we've had for a number of years, and it sounds just like what it is. So the standard color, I think, is really perfectly acceptable for most children's books, and certainly where you have spot color, even like a cookbook, something like that, where the color's not critical like it would be, say, in a coffee table or an art book.
Oh, so you called that spot color. Is that the tech term for that?
Yeah, it's like where you might call out a heading or, a certain section of a book by using, some shading of color. That's usually what a designer would call a spot color.
Got it.
Instead of it just being an illustration. So the great thing is that the standard color pricing, both of our color choices are done on 70-pound paper. We're also always looking at adding new paper choices. A lot of people have asked for glossy paper. To date, we haven't had that as a choice, but that's something that we're always testing. And unfortunately, in the digital printing kind of space, kind of limited in the kind of paper that we can kind of shoot through those digital printers. So, but I really would love at some point in the not too distant future to be able to offer a glossy paper, because I think that is what people prefer, especially when you're, printing illustrations.
And so what's the price differential between the standard 50, the standard 70-pound, and the premium color?
So the premium color is going to be fairly expensive, and you need to look at that to see if your book and the price that you're putting on the book can can actually afford that. Where black and white is usually about a penny a page. Standard color, I think, is around 3 or 4 cents a page, and then premium color is more like 6 to 10 cents a page. So it depends on the trim size, the number of pages, as to exactly what that cost is going to be for you.
Got it. And so once you put this machine in motion, you distribute it. Talk about distribution in a minute, but I've also been recommending that authors purchase 100 or 300 books, 50 at the very least, to sell at their book launch party and to give away to reviewers and media. Would IngramSpark be able to do a high quality digital print, a POD, or even offset printing if they say they wanted 1,000 or more copies?
So, so we do give price breaks when you hit like a 750 quantity. And you can go in the calculator tool and actually put in 750 or more, and it'll actually give you the discounted price at those levels. So that's something to think about. I personally don't recommend that people print too many and kind of pay as they go, because you don't really get a break below 750. So you can really order as many as you need that you feel comfortable in having in your possession. I definitely believe that everybody should have a box of books in their trunk at all times. You never know. I don't recommend that you actually store inventory unless your book is really selling, more than 1,000 units a year. That's something that I think is the differentiator for you to make that kind of decision.
Got it. Okay. That's good advice. So let's talk about the book formats. People who want hardback are attracted to IngramSpark because, you can just, you can distribute your hardback and your paperback as well as your ebook with you guys. So how do you format differently for a hardback? How much more expensive is that? And I know you don't use the same ISBN. Just talk about the differences and how that all flows when you're creating all three formats.
Yeah, and I recommend, especially if you're working with a professional designer, you go ahead while you're working with them and tell them, I want a paperback, I want a hardcover, and I want an ebook. And, I want covers done for all of those. Even if you don't do it immediately, you don't upload all of those formats at once. It's good to go ahead and have those kind of done at the same time. The designer, it's basically the difference in 3 different covers, basically. The interior of the paperback and the hardcover's more or less the same. It's the cover that's different. In IngramSpark, you have 2 choices for your hardcover. It can be what they call case laminate, which is basically the cover that's glued to the boards, or you can have sort of a more traditional looking book that has like a jacket over it, a dust jacket over it. So when you use those cover template generators that you were just talking about, Carla, you can get one. You can get, or your designer can download for the paperback, for the hardcover, or the case laminate.
So the case laminate, it doesn't have a jacket.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So how does that look?
We're starting to see people really use it, and especially for children's books, where the covers are going to get ripped off anyway. I would really recommend that it's a case laminate or a paperback for a children's book. But for a jacket, especially if you have a novel and it looks more traditionally published, actually, with the jacket, I think, as a hardcover. And this, Carla, that a lot of traditional publishers still publish a hardcover first before they come out with a paperback. So that's what kind of differentiates your book, just kind of traveling out in the marketplace to begin with.
Well, I know that they're really popular at book launch parties because your friends and your family all want the hardback because it's so pretty and they'll pay for it. And if you're a nonfiction author or even a fiction author that has a platform where you go out and speak a lot, that's really popular. And I also understand that libraries like hardbacks because they last so much longer.
Yeah, so libraries are a market for you. You definitely want to be able to offer a hardcover edition of your book. And a library is definitely going to be more attracted to that and more likely to purchase.
And it doesn't cost anything more to offer a hardback book than it does a paperback, right?
Well, the pricing would be higher, right? So you can accommodate that, and the calculator tool would show you that, right? So, but yeah, it doesn't really. It's like, why not? Really, why not make it available? It's not really costing you anything. If you have super fans, if you've done Kickstarter campaigns where you need to give away or provide premium copy of your book, then that hardcover certainly serves that purpose.
So while we're on that topic, let's talk about fees a little bit. How much does it cost to set up a title, and what are any of the costs that might be incurred along your journey?
In IngramSpark, we have a one-time setup fee. You can set up your print and your ebook together. There's a $49 fee, or you can just set up your ebook and then it's a $25 fee. And it's a one-time expense. We often have promotions where that's for free.
Yeah, and I do want to encourage people to go to IngramSpark.com and sign up for the email newsletter, because there are those promotions coming up.
Yeah, that's how you know about them, right? And you also just will, our blog, I think, is almost as good as your blog, Carla. We have a lot of people that really write for our blog, and really a lot of useful information around book marketing and social media and all kinds of different things.
So there's also, if you change your book, if you want to re-upload your book, are there fees associated with that?
Yeah, we do charge. It's a $25 per file fee. So if you are changing your cover, you would upload a new cover. That's a $25 fee. If you also upload the interior of your file, that's another $25 fee. We don't charge you for any changes to your metadata. And I encourage this, update your metadata with, say you win an award, or, you get a great endorsement, you get a great review, go into your metadata and update that, and update your pricing. You can always do that as well.
Oh, that's great, because personally, I'm always playing with metadata when I do more competitive analysis and see what other authors like me are doing and what keywords they're using, and maybe changing my book description to be more markety. I'm playing with it constantly.
You should be, and that's really good. And I encourage everybody to do that, because it's not cast in stone. And it's really important that you keep your metadata fresh and always, just more attractive to a potential reader.
Yeah, because there are trending titles and things go in and out of popularity, and you might even want to change your book categories. So important. The metadata part is, I always like to call it your most important marketing partner, passive marketing partner.
Yeah, it's like your online sales manager. Really.
Okay, so here I am talking to you, and we haven't really talked distribution yet. And Ingram is known for its amazing distribution. So who do you reach when you publish your print book and your ebooks on IngramSpark?
So Ingram's considered to be the widest distributor of books in the world. And when I talk about Ingram, it's Big Ingram. It's the wholesale book company, reaches and has retail and library customers that are customers of Ingram.
There you go. That's part one of two parts where I talked to Robin Cutler about IngramSpark, and the next episode will be all about distribution. So please subscribe to get notified when that is available, and go visit selfpubbootcampcourses.com and poke around. There are some free lessons in the course, and I'd love to hear from you also. There's a contact form on the authorfriendly.com website. Thanks.